Good morning. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, broadcasting from the 13 News Now studios here on 13 News Now Plus. You might be finding us on YouTube. You found us here on the weather desk, where each and every weekday morning around 9 o'clock, we give you half an hour on today's top weather headlines. We've got a great show lined up for you this morning. We're going to take a look at some stuff happening around the country, what has happened, what will happen. We've got a couple stories from space. We're going to look back a little bit in history later in the show. Let's get to some of the specific topics we're going to be covering. And we're going to start off by taking a look at some rough weather. A tornado confirmed touching down in Louisiana. We're going to show you where that is. And I actually went back and took a look at the radar. We'll pause it as we're going along, and I'll show you the moment that that tornado hit that town in Louisiana. I also have more winter weather that you're going to see impacting the California mountains up around Tahoe. You know, they've been waiting and waiting after a pretty dry January into February. They needed some snow, and they've been getting it. There is more winter weather coming to the California mountains, other parts of the western U.S. in a snow drought. So this is all beneficial for those areas to get some more snow. They do need it. In addition to that, we'll take a look at Helene recovery 500 days after the storm hit. We'll update you on how North Carolina is doing, and really just still recovering so many days, more than a year after the storm hit. And we'll show you some of the projects still getting ready to get going. We also have some more space news, and that there was a major launch from Florida this morning. We'll update you on the Crew ISS just arriving, Crew 12 to ISS. We'll show you some more on that. And then after that, we're going to take a look at a historically harsh winter back in 1780 and how it had some impacts on a very young nation coming together, as it was one of the harshest on record for the eastern U.S. Don't worry, though, here in Hampton Roads, we are actually looking forward to a warmer work week. So we've got some good stuff to look forward to if you're ready for a break from the cold weather we've had this winter. Let's start off by taking a look at what's going on. And the rain that we saw overnight, it is gone. We are going to see drier conditions here in Hampton Roads. So we want to expand the view, show you how quiet it is across the central part of the country, and then turn our focus and attention down here to Louisiana. You know, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. Wow. Tomorrow, Fat Tuesday. Carnival celebrated down in South America. We've already got images and video as folks are just celebrating this time of the year. You can see in New Orleans, it is quiet right now, but I want to take you to a little town, this town of Crowley, out here to the west of New Orleans, just not too far from Lafayette, and you can see along Interstate 10. So let's take this full, and I'm going to show you the radar images here as we take a look back around Crowley and take you back to Saturday evening. Let me go ahead and adjust the radar here. This is Saturday at 7:40 as the evening progressed. That small town of Crowley right there in the central part of the map. You see some rain showers starting around 10:30, but it was right around 11 o'clock right there that tornado, that area you see here on the map, right in here. This is the signature accompanying an EF0 tornado that came through that area. And just as quickly as it came in around 11, by about 11:10, 11:20, it was past Crowley, and they were dealing with some damage. Take a look at the damage down in the Crowley area as the National Weather Service confirms an EF0 tornado touched down just outside that small town of Crowley on Saturday night. That's about 30 minutes just out there to the west of Lafayette. There's a video, and you can see, again, the twister knocked down a carport. It destroyed sheds. Fortunately, no one was hurt on Sunday. Neighbors banded together to clean up the damage left by the tornado.
The power went out, and I could hear it. I could hear the leaves and the branches hit my house, and it was rumbling. I got up and I went and stood in the hall. And I waited, I could see the light, and I went and looked out the windows. I saw the lightning and everything else. And then when I left this morning, I didn't realize it was right behind my house where it hit. And I just wanted to see if I could help some of my neighbors here with something if they needed anything. And so that's why I came and passed by here to see if I could help someone.
That system also triggered severe thunderstorms and unleashed powerful winds throughout that region. But so far, the National Weather Service says the only tornado touchdown that they could confirm was the one in Crowley. And you do see some of that damage. Even an EF0 can do a number there. All right, we're going to turn our attention to California, and they are bracing, obviously, for more rain and snow across parts of the state here as another round of wet weather comes in. And you can see this has been after a very drier than normal January for parts of the state. They finally got a little bit of relief last week, and the skiers, you can see, enjoying the fresh powder in Placer County over the weekend. That's near Lake Tahoe. Again, the Sierras are expected to get more winter weather this week. Here's how people are preparing.
Actually, up here, you don't know what you're going to get.
If there ever was a crystal ball on weather, it would say snow is on the way.
And it's dangerous. A lot of people come from the Bay Area and they don't understand that. When they say stay home, they mean stay home.
As a series of heavy winter storms are set to roll through the Sierra, delivering the kind of snow that brings locals to buy supplies.
I have a doctor appointment on Wednesday, and I'm worried that I'm not going to get there because I got a driveway like this. And if it gets icy, I'm going to keep on going and slide right down into the canyons.
And travelers coming through Pollock Pines can see up to a foot of snow tomorrow, and workers already preparing with a mountain of salt ready for the area. KCRA calling Monday and Tuesday weather alert days, as preparations could go a long way.
As I'm bringing the snowblower out, I want to get it ahead of time because of this kind of storm.
We've had actually a lot of people this morning come in for shovels, and I have about 5 times this much staged in the back.
Wow, so you have more?
We have tons of shovels. We're ready to go.
Randy Bishop says his business has seen more foot traffic. More people gear up for the cold weather ahead.
And then we have our snow melt, wood fire starter, chainsaw fuel, oil.
So everything right now is gearing up for?
Everything's gearing up for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I already took my snow shovel out and put it in the front so I can shovel my way out.
You just never know. Mother Nature is in control.
All right, so they're dealing with the snow, and obviously a lot of folks here are taking the threat of a winter storm seriously as they need to. But again, the resorts, they need this snow, not only for the industry to have the nice skiing, which you saw at the beginning of that story, some of that video, but also their snowpack helps provide water for the region as the reservoirs, they control the amount of water that those reservoirs release. And again, that all contributes to the overall water situation out west. So this is actually a beneficial situation. Now, too much of a good thing, that can be a problem. And as we turn our attention down to LA and Southern California, they are having to watch this very carefully as well. LA County has ordered a handful of people to evacuate ahead of the storm, specifically those who live in the Pacific Palisades burn zone. There are concerns that if they do get this heavy rain, it could trigger more mudslides. Despite the threat, some residents say the wet weather is needed.
It's seasonable, so I'm not threatened. I think that we're going to get a good soaking, and it's going to be, a bit of rain.
The Palisades fire was one of several wildfires to spark in Southern California last January. It took firefighters almost a month to put out the flames. At least 12 people died and more than 6,000 buildings were destroyed in that fire. Okay, we're going to now turn our attention back here to the East Coast in North Carolina. Talk about Helene recovery. 500 days after Hurricane Helene devastated the western part of North Carolina, the private bridge and road rebuild program is getting ready to start hundreds of projects. As Kimberly King reports, the focus is to make sure emergency vehicles can get to the residents.
Here in Yancey County, a lot of residents are still waiting for the private road and bridge program that's federally funded to come through. Here at Ermel Wheeler's property, he built this more than 2 decades ago and is still waiting for it to get rebuilt. I met Ermel Wheeler a year ago. His bridge across the Cane destroyed. He's one of 5 families on the other side. They don't have a good crossover for emergency vehicles. His cousin, Bobby Webb, yes, drives his Jeep across the Cane up the road sometimes daily to his home. His bridge also destroyed. The 77-year-old's had emergencies. He's encouraged, though, feeling contractors will break ground on a bridge this April.
We actually had meetings with the county guy and a state lady. They've been doing a lot of surveying both sides of the river.
Ermel showed us the challenging muddy road families have to use right now without a bridge. In Buncombe, there's progress. With nearly 1,000 bridge and road requests, 49 are done, 8 under construction, and 12 designed, with more scheduled. There are countless stories of nonprofits stepping in where the federal government has had delays, and in Yancey County, it's no exception. A Bridge Home, along with other nonprofits, helped get this walking bridge to residents' homes built. Meanwhile, the community waits for the federal program to come through along 19W.
Boy, it is incredible to see and hear those stories. You think about people totally isolated 500 days after Helene, where they have to drive through moving water in a 4x4 to get out and in. That's incredible. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up in 2 minutes, you see the star field behind me. We are going to turn our attention to space. You know, we've got a couple of things exciting to talk about. Crew 12 arrived at the ISS, the International Space Station, and another big launch from Florida. What SpaceX sent into orbit this morning, and we'll talk about the coming work week in Hampton Roads and a big historical winter, one of the worst on record for the East Coast. That's coming up after this 2-minute break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're going to talk about a couple of things pertaining more to space and some launches here that we've been monitoring. A couple of exciting stories, and we had another major rocket launch out of Florida. Check it out this morning. SpaceX sent 29 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit from Cape Canaveral. Love that. Take a look here as the rocket lifts. Again, these night launches are spectacular and visible from so far away. Those satellites were on board a Falcon 9 rocket. They're going to be part of a larger constellation of satellites which help provide high-speed internet around the world, especially in those more remote areas. So more Starlink satellites going up. All right, staying in space, we told you on Friday that NASA sent 4 astronauts to the ISS, the International Space Station. This video shows Crew 12 arriving at the ISS over the weekend. Their arrival has been highly anticipated since the station has been running on a skeleton crew since mid-January. You may remember Crew 11 had to return to Earth weeks early due to a medical situation with one of the astronauts. Crew 12 is expected to stay up at the International Space Station for 8 to 9 months, and we certainly wish them well on their mission. All right, we're taking a look at the winter weather that we have across the country in terms of the snow depth. You know, this winter has been something else. We've had some rounds of snow here across Virginia and North Carolina. We've seen snow and ice down across parts of the deep south, freezing temperatures in Florida. At times, it's been pretty harsh. You know, they started off with all the wet and flooding conditions along the west coast. Then there was a little bit of a snow drought. Now they're getting more snow back over the Sierras. You can see snow pretty heavy across Idaho up into western Montana and Wyoming, while Colorado and parts of Utah are in a bit of a snow drought. There's also snow up over the Northeast. But again, the winter that we're having here in the East Coast, as bad as it's been a lot worse when you look back historically. And America celebrates its 250th birthday this year. We're looking at how weather has helped shape our history. Meteorologist Evan Stewart takes us back to one of the coldest winters ever recorded in the eastern U.S. It didn't just freeze rivers and harbors, it nearly changed the outcome of the Revolutionary War.
The winter of 1780 has been called the hard winter. Temperatures plunged for weeks, freezing harbors along the Atlantic coast all the way down to the Carolinas. And this all happened during the Revolutionary War. And with the extreme cold came a serious new threat, potentially turning a natural defensive barrier into a route for invasion. Now, the Hudson River was normally a defensive barrier, was a moat protecting George Washington's army. But in 1780, it froze solid. In some places, the ice was thick enough for soldiers, horses, and even artillery to cross, forming a temporary bridge between British-occupied New York City and the Patriot-held New Jersey. And both sides used the frozen river for raids during the winter. Washington attempted a surprise attack in January across the ice, while British troops launched destructive cavalry raids in February. Now, with the Continental Army weakened, a full British assault across the frozen Hudson might have ended the war. Fortunately for Washington, the British were also paralyzed by the cold, and they focused on survival. So the same brutal cold that created danger also held the British back. Another example of how weather shaped the course of American history.
Very interesting, Evan. I'm glad he was able to stand on that raft there. We won't want Evan taking any chances on the ice. Really interesting stuff. And Evan's going to have more stories on how weather's impacted our U.S. history as we continue to celebrate 250 years of the United States. Well, we'll take a look right now at what's happening across the lower 48 here, and you can see rain coming in to the California coast. We talked about that with the weather there having some significant impacts down around L.A. and the snow for the mountains. Things are quiet across the central part of the country right now and along the Gulf Coast. The storm system that produced the wet weather here, over an inch in Norfolk. We had 1.13 inches yesterday. That is pulled offshore, and now we're going to look forward to some improving weather. Still some snow flying up around the upper peninsula of Michigan. Basically, though, much of the central and eastern U.S. in for a little quieter stretch. You take a look, we finally have had a few warmer days with highs back above average. We had a couple cool days last Thursday and Friday, and certainly so far today, it has been cool. The highest so far today, 44. We're actually going to see afternoon temperatures staying in the lower to mid 40s, so that's about it. 43 for an afternoon temperature here in Hampton Roads. But after today, look at this, 58 tomorrow. 63 on Wednesday, 60 on Thursday, back to 63 on Friday. So some warmer weather there, mid-50s, close to average on Saturday. Then another little dip. Beyond that, the temperatures go back up. And I think by the end of next week, it will be a little warmer as well. So those temperatures trending up there on Thursday should continue to climb next Friday and Saturday. I don't know about you, but here, speaking for myself, my neighbors, just about anybody that'll come up and talk to me about it, everybody's pretty much looking forward to some warmer weather. We have had our share of cold weather for December and January. It really started the end of last fall. We were catching a break and said, hey, this is a mild fall. It never got like that second, super hot summer, what you call an Indian summer. We didn't have any of that stuff. What we had was a very, very mild fall and then a very, very cold winter. So that's the way it was going for so much of it. Now we're starting to trend warmer. So we'll see how things play out. All right, as we take a look at the temperatures, upper 30s to low 40s across the region right now, and highs today, as I mentioned, through the afternoon in the lower to mid 40s. Temperatures are going to fall back through the 30s as we get into our 8 and say 9 o'clock hours. You get into the evening and eventually falls back down. We do have some clouds out there right now over the eastern half of the country, or over the eastern half of our viewing area. The westernmost parts of Virginia and North Carolina seeing some clearing, but the clouds are still socked in for the metro area closer to the coast. Now, as we go through the afternoon, the skies are still going to be mostly cloudy. There may be some breaks as we go towards sunset tonight. I'm looking forward to that. And then overnight, skies become mainly clear. For tomorrow, a mostly sunny day. It's going to be very pleasant as we look forward. You're going to find the conditions warmer for your Tuesday, back up in the mid to upper 50s, as I mentioned. Looking ahead to our Wednesday, it gets even warmer. Temperatures well into the 60s. Some areas flirting with 70 degrees. So we'll take the warmer weather as we get into the overnight. There might be some showers kind of passing through here into early Thursday. I think a lot of the area dries out for the front half of the day once the sun comes up on Thursday, but we will see chances for more showers late Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and then some scattered wet weather on Friday into Saturday and Sunday. Here's what we have right now. Still mostly cloudy as we look live with the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View. It is cloudy over the Elizabeth River right now, and at the airport, north winds at 16 miles per hour. Now, it's been gusty. We've had an area of low pressure moving along, and those, that center of that low is pulling offshore. The north winds coming around on the backside. Earlier this morning, we were seeing gusts 35 to even 40 miles per hour right along the beaches. More recently, a gust to 30 at Manio, 29 at Currituck. The winds much lighter inland. As we take a look, Virginia Beach, Duck, both reporting a 32-mile-per-hour gust recently, and a gust of 33 at Elizabeth City. So still quite breezy near the coast. Inland areas, again, not as windy as you go farther away from the coast. But with that low still pulling away offshore, you still have some winds coming in from the north on the backside. And we do still have a gale warning up for the coastal waters there to the east of Virginia Beach. For the Chesapeake Bay, we have a small craft advisory in place, gusts there to near 30 knots, and the seas 3 to 4 feet. Occasionally, you might see a 5-footer. Same thing, 5 to 7. Occasionally, an 8 or 9-footer there offshore. So pretty rough, small craft. Obviously, you just want to stay in port. You don't want to take any chances with those conditions. Now, highs today are going to stay in the low to mid 40s through the afternoon. We were already at 44 officially, so afternoon temperatures lower 40s, mid 40s around Chesapeake. You come inland, upper 40s, Franklin and Wakefield, out towards Suffolk as well. As we take a look off to the north, the temperatures there, low 40s for Matthews. Temperatures in the low 40s along the eastern shore. As we look down to the peninsula, mid 40s, Hampton and Newport News. Williamsburg around 47. We've got the clouds, but look for some clearing late in the day. I think it'll go probably mid-afternoon. We start seeing some breaks in the clouds for Williamsburg, Norwich, Toronto, Lightfoot, some of those communities out that way. We're also going to see some of that sunshine breaking through out around Hertford County into Northampton. Bertie County will see it. Clouds hanging in closer to the Outer Banks, though, and temperatures there cooler. Low 40s, still very breezy around Kill Devil Hills and Manio. Not as much so, but still pretty breezy as you come farther inland across northeast North Carolina. Now, overnight tonight, the low's going to fall to about 33. It'll be variably cloudy, winds north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we go through the day tomorrow, more sunshine. How about that? Mostly sunny, getting warmer with the highs in the upper 50s. Few spots close to 60, and that warming trend will continue as we look ahead to our Wednesday, up to 63 degrees. There'll be a chance for showers on Thursday. mainly during the afternoon, although I showed you on our Futurecast we could see a little bit of activity overnight Wednesday night into early Thursday. We'll catch a break, and then additional showers during the afternoon. Scattered showers on Friday, isolated showers on Saturday and Sunday. After having this warm up through the middle part of the week and the end of the week, we do cool it back down through the weekend. Early next week, remember, Monday and Tuesday will be cooler. And then after that, another warm up through the end of next week. So we do have some good stuff to look forward to. I want to remind you can always get the latest news, traffic, and weather, on the go with the 13 News Now mobile app. You see that QR code there. If you haven't already done it, if you're just watching the Weather Desk for the first time and say, hey, I want to know more about the weather here in Hampton Roads, I want access to radars, we've got all of that right here at your fingertips. You'll also get important traffic and news updates. If there's breaking news, you'll find out about it. You scan that QR code. It is absolutely free and full of great content. And again, all of our news coverage available on the go. Wherever you are, you can take it with you. And I want to remind you to keep checking back with 13 News Now. Not only do we have special programming like the Weather Desk here, but we do special hurricane shows through the hurricane season. There's special sports extras. There's all kinds of additional content that you won't find just over the air on 13 News Now. No, you find it here at 13 News Now Plus. So let your friends know about it. Again, hopefully you'll be sure and come back and check out future editions of the Weather Desk. We do it each and every weekday morning starting at 9 o'clock. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Thanks for spending the last half hour with me. We'll see you next time on the Weather Desk.